Hey everybody, Adam here. I just wanted to give you a demonstration of the new remodeled chest item spawner. So for those of you that don't know, chest item spawners allow you to set up a spawner and it'll spawn into a chest. So for instance, this is our prison system, and as you can see, we have a number of spawners associated with chests here, and players can open them up and get bandages or potions, sleeping bags. Over here you've got some food and dice, things of that nature. But with some quests that we've got coming up, we wanted to expand the functionality a little bit of the chest item spawners. So we've done that in a couple of ways. The first one is that you oftentimes want to manage multiple containers with a single spawner. So to do that, we open up the spawner gump, and as you can see, it lists the items that we're spawning here. You just use the set container, and we can target another container and another container. Okay, and then let's do a total respawn. See what we got here. Okay, so now we've got 3 containers, and they are all managed by this spawner. So if somebody's to take out a cheese wheel from this one, I've got the spawn timer set to like 30 seconds, so we should see a cheese wheel appear here pretty shortly. The spawner will manage all of the different containers. So let's look at the properties of this spawner here. Okay, there's our cheese wheel, just reappeared here. So this spawner is going to keep maintaining all of these chests. You can manage up to 6 chests. You can set them here in props, but the interface here on the gump is a lot more convenient. But there's up to 6 that you can set. Okay, so that's the core functionality. Now let's look at some of the neat things you can do with this. If you're spawning interesting things, you might want to have an array of containers, a stack of crates, a bunch of barrels, whatever, but you don't want to spawn into all of them all the time. So you do that with select. So if select is 0, all of the containers are selected. But let's set it to 2, see what happens. Okay, so it randomly selected 2 of these 3 containers to spawn into. And one thing to note here is that it won't necessarily replace the cheese in this container. The next time it spawns, as you can see, it selected 2 new containers. So the spawn will keep moving around. So in your stack of barrels or your stack of crates, a player might go to container 1 now, find some things, come back an hour later, and it's all moved to another container. Okay, so that's what we're trying to accomplish here, is having the spawn move to different containers. And if we just wait a couple seconds here, you'll see the things move again if a different 2 of the 3 were selected. Okay, and you could set it to 1 or any number. It's only useful though if you set it to a number less than your number of containers. Okay, so the chest spawner manages all the containers, and then you can use the select to select a subset, a random subset of those containers to spawn into. And the thing to remember here is that on every respawn tick, it will select 2 new containers. Now, as you can see here, it's used these 2 containers for a minute or 2 here. There we go, it just changed. That's because there's only 3 containers, so the chances I'm getting the same 2 are very high. If you were using maybe 6 containers or 12 containers, they would be moving, you know, virtually every tick. Okay, so those are sort of the basics here. Now let's turn on random. Maybe you don't want the exact same set of things to spawn. I mean, if you look, we always are getting a cheese wheel, the French bread, the dice, the ribs. So if we say random item, let's see what happens. Okay, so now we're asking for random item, and it's using the count to indicate how many total items for that container. So when you're not using random items, count describes how many of each item to put in a container. When you're running random item, it's how many random items to select. Okay, so let's say we wanted, say, 5 random items in the selected 2 containers. Okay, now we have 5 random items. So you'll see we didn't get any limes here. We got 2 limes here, no French bread over here. So it'll shuffle things up a little bit. Okay, so let's look at loot packs, and we'll turn off some of these features here so we can clearly see how loot packs work. So we're going to turn that to false. We're going to set count back to 1, and we're going to set select to 0, meaning all containers. Okay, so now all containers are again spawning 1 of everything in this list. Okay, loot packs. So here in this spawner model, the things in the loot pack are not special. They are simply things which were not convenient to list here. All of these things exist as in-game items, ribs, French bread, but say you have say we want a special say we want a special wheel of cheese, right? So we're going to create just a cheese wheel graphic. Now let's make it, yeah, sure. Okay, so now we have a red wheel of cheese. So to create a loot pack, just add a backpack. Put your red wheel of cheese in the backpack, and then for your spawner, you're going to set the loot pack to that backpack. Okay, done. Now you've effectively just extended this list by 1, but it's not listed here. But it will be pulled from just like all the other items. And as you can see, if we look over here, we now have a red wheel of cheese in each of the containers. So the takeaway here is that the things in the loot pack aren't rares. I mean, they could be if you set up the spawner to spawn very infrequently. Then they become rare. But the core functionality of the spawner doesn't distinguish between things in the loot pack and things in the list. It just pulls from this array of available items. Okay, so let's go back and let's play with a couple of these. So let's go back to being random, and let's set the count to maybe 5. Okay, so here we got, we've got some of the things from the core set, and then we've got something from the loot pack. Same up here. I think we got one over there, and we didn't get it over here. So that's the basics. You can manage multiple chests, up to 6 of them per spawner. Then using the select mechanism, you can select a subset of those containers, 1 or 2 or 2, and I set the drop chance to 2. Sorry. Select 2. And that's really it. You can shuffle things up by randomizing. You can randomize the containers managed, and that's it. It pretty much self-maintains. So just a note on rares: you can use this mechanism for spawning rares, but you wouldn't do it in this spawner that's just spawning, ribs and French bread and cheese. You can't really just throw a rare in here and expect it to be treated differently. It will spawn like everything else. So the way you're going to do rares is you're going to create another spawner, and you'll just set the delay to, maybe an hour, something, a day, however long you want in between rare spawns. And then in addition to that, you can set the drop chance. So you could set this to say 1 day, and then have the drop chance 50% of the time. So you might get drops each day, 2 in a row, and then it might skip 3 days. So the min-max delay and the drop chance are what you will want for spawning rares. So in our earlier scenario where we had, a stack of crates or a bunch of barrels, you might have one spawner in there that's, for instance, selecting one container once a day with some drop chance, and that's how you'll put your rare into one of those containers. The other spawner would be the spawner that's putting in, cheese or food or, weapons or whatever you wish. Okay, so that's really it. I hope you find this useful. Bye.